Hello. My name is Emery. Welcome to Coding Australia. This project is called PHP.
So this is one of the web pages that we created earlier, the homemade page. So hopefully that's familiar. And if we want to look at what that looks like in a browser, we can just open it up from the folder where it's sitting. What we're going to do now is we're going to put this file up onto the website, my website, and run it from there. It won't look any different, but it'll actually be running on the web, which means anybody can have a look at it. So to do all this, we're working on PHP, but before we do that, we need to actually get access to our website, and the way we do that is through a file transfer protocol program. So I've got one over here which I loaded as an add-on. It loads up. When it loads, it says what do you want to do. I've got a few websites here. We're working on this website. I create the account, which I've done. You need to do all this, and then you connect. And if all goes according to plan, this is what's sitting on the website. So this is the folders on the laptop, your computer that you're using, and this is what it looks like on the internet, and you just send stuff from here to here. So you still edit locally. So this is all done locally, and when you're happy with it, you save it. Then when you've saved it, you then send it from your computer to the internet. Now I've just got to find out where I put it. Just a minute. There it is. It's down in here. So this is, let me see now. We'll find out what's happening. As you can see, I just quickly saved it to the current date. So that's the file we're talking about. So here it is here, locally, and now I'm going to send it over here to there, and wait a minute, there we go, and it's going to say it's already there. Well, yes, it is already there. Do you want to override it? Yes, I do. So I override it. Now the next thing I do is I can then do this. And it loads it up. Now if you remember last time I said if it's called index, you don't actually have to write the name of the file in there. Okay, now all the other stuff that we played with has already been sent over there as well. So you can just go and get them all, load them into a folder over here under public, and then start running it actually on the World Wide Web. So these are actually running on the World Wide Web. There they are. Alright, all those different programs. So that's how you set things up. What we're going to do now is start looking at how we can use PHP to make these look a little bit fancier, and you can do a heck of a lot more with these files. So hopefully you managed to transfer your files from your home folders, wherever you're saving stuff, over to your website. And if you have, you'll know you have, because when you run them, you'll get this. You'll know everything's working properly, because up there on the internet you'll have these 4 files coming up looking something like that. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to start introducing PHP. It may not look like, why would you bother to start with, but trust me, down the track there is no other way you can do this stuff. So our first thing we're going to do is we created a style library so that all the styles remained consistent across all the pages, and now what we're going to do is we're going to divide the actual page itself into 3 sections. You can divide it into more, but for this particular project website we're going to have a top, a middle and a bottom, and the top will be called for each of these pages, and the footer or bottom will be called for each of these pages, and what will be different is what's in there. Now the way we do that is, first things first, is we're going to create a header file. We're going to turn most of index, not all of it, but most of index into the header file, and I'm just cleaning this up a bit. When you use PHP, you tag it like this, so anything that's got PHP in it opens with that tag. For the moment this is just going to have the name of the file at the top, and you close it like that. And in here we're just going to go back to my website from where we had it before, and in here we're going to change these all to PHPs. It's a bit of setting up, but once it's up it's worth it. And then down the bottom we're going to have a footer, which we haven't got yet, but we'll just create a really simple one. So the header file looks like that, and we're going to save it as our header file. Save it like that. So that's our header file, and our index file, which I'll open up again, our index PHP, will look like this. Get rid of all that. That's going to become our footer, but we have to tell PHP we want to use the header and we also want to use the footer that we'll create any moment now. And we save that as PHP. Like so. And we now create a very basic footer file, so we'll just open up index again and we'll get rid of everything all the way up there, and we'll label it. That's comment the double slash, and put footer here and save that as footer PHP. Alright, so we've got the footer, the header and the index, and what we'll do is we'll open up the other files that we've been using. So let's open up gallery, let's go get the top of the index there, copy it across, take out all this, put that in instead, and then go back to index again and get this and copy that across to the bottom piece like that, and make sure we don't forget to name it. Doesn't matter, but it'd be a bit confusing if you didn't. And we'll save that as PHP. Save. And let's go get the other two. So we'll go and get links and go through the same routine. So get the header file, replace the top all the way down to there, go get the footer. I'm going to call the footer up for links as well, put that in there and save that as PHP. Save. And lastly, news. Let's open up news, same story. Let's go and get that, put it in place of all of that, and footer, same process again. Save as PHP, save it, make sure you name it correctly, try saving that again. The links, I think we've got to do the same thing, yes, save that. Okay, so now we've got the footer, the header, gallery, index, links and news. They all have to be copied across as well. If they go into the same folder, your style library's already over there, your images are already over there. So all you've got to do is copy them across when you've saved them to wherever they're supposed to go. Probably, similar or the same folder might be a bad idea, and because you'll have your images and everything there already. Otherwise, if you create a new folder, your style will have to go across, and so will your images. Alright, so we'll assume you managed to successfully upload all the PHP files, which I've done here, into a separate folder so I can keep track of where I am. The other thing that I've done as well over here in the header is I said call this header. Well, that's not quite right. You should call it the name of the actual site. So I've changed this, saved it and uploaded it, and that's why it now looks like that. Icons we'll talk about later. Okay, so we upload successfully, and that's what the header file looks like, and everything should be working fine. You should be able to check them all out and make sure they're all working. Alright, now let's promise we're going to work on the footer file. It looks like that. We're going to make it look like that. So that bit's the same. We're going to add that there. So have a look at it. It's actually going to be a link to Twitter and Facebook. You're going to need to find a Twitter image and a Facebook image, which is, there's hundreds of them if you go to Google, and you're going to add this class here. You can please yourself if you use those, and that's what it's going to look like. So have a look at it, make sure you get the code spot on. You need to go and get two of these. They need to be resized to 40 by 40, so they're not big. 40 by 40 is a good size for these, and then upload them into the image file, and if it all works, you should be right. Now the other thing you need to do is you need to add this to your style library. Your style library looks like this at the moment, so you need to put that in. Let's have a bit of a look at that. I'll just put some. So this, if you go back up here and have a look at how ANA hover works, this is much the same, except it's putting a border around it, and it's also adding this stuff here. This stuff is trying to it recognises which browser is being used, and so if it's a Mozilla Firefox, it looks at that line, and I think this one's Chrome. I'm not sure about Internet Explorer. I think you can do other things with Explorer. I don't want to know about that at the moment, so you can go and look that stuff up. So that going into your style library is going to change how this looks. So let's just go there, and let's just take this. I'm taking this from one spot, and putting it to where I'm actually doing the work, which is there, and we'll save that as well. And then, having created those two, or saved those two new files, we'll make sure we got them where we want. There they are at the top, that's a good sign, today's date, and we will send them across. Now the style's been, the footer's been expanded quite a bit, and there's a little bit extra gone into your style library as well. Now the other thing we need to check is this: do we have a Twitter? And no, we don't. So I just happen to have someone tucked away somewhere down here, I hope, is a Twitter. I hope. Let's see if I've got one here. They're in here somewhere. Maybe if I do them by name. There it was, I just spotted it. So we need a face, and we need a twit. So that's called face and twit, which probably means over here we should rename these in our footer file, or rename the actual PNGs, please yourself. And then we will go back over here, go back to where we were, which was up here, and let's just make sure we're right here. We changed the footer. Yep. So everything's been changed. Let's see if that made an impact or not. It did. And not only that, it's picked up that class. Doesn't look that good, but you get the hang of what's going on here. So gallery, news, links, there's your new footer, and it's doing a bit of a fancy little drop shadow highlight. So the next thing we're going to have a look at is we're going to work on the news site, and we follow the approach to the news site. It's very similar to the way the footer works. So what we're going to do is we'll put a couple of links in, links to news sites in there. So this is our news PHP, and then it says put news here. Now the fastest way for us to do this is we can type the whole thing out if we like, or we can put it there like that, which is, I'm using the footer code, but here we'll go to a couple of sites that I've been using for a while. This one is going to be news.com.au, and Taiwan. So the Taiwan news site, we need to, I'll just show you, this is this over here, so this is what I'm basically writing out. So we need a new PNG file, and we need a new one here for Taiwan. So a couple of new images. The alts, please yourself, I'll get rid of them. And we need the Taiwan website. So just let me check here for a minute. I'll have to type it. I just can't see it. There we go. What do we got? etonews.com, blah blah blah. The other way you can go about doing this is you can actually do this. So I might do this instead. I can go to the site, I can open up a new one, and I can Google the link I'm looking for. So let's see if this works or not. Well, I think it's that one. That's the one I use. I'm pretty sure, close enough. So when you get it, you just copy that back over here and put it in there like so. So go find the site. I could have done the same thing with the news site. And the other thing you can do too is if you're looking for the actual a PNG file, sometimes you get lucky there as well. So if you right click on that there, it will actually, it might do this. You only really want that bit, but you can play with it and get what you want as well. Okay, failing that, these are both images, so save those two images straight off the notes, call them what they are, put them in the image file, and you're in business. Alright, so let's just go back over here. We'll save the news. That's all we need to save at the moment, and we'll upload it and see what we get. So we open up our FTP and we connect, and let's just go back up to where we've been working. One of the things that happens when you open these up is they default. So there's my news. I'm going in here and I just want to make sure that I'm in the right spot. So we're going to overwrite that news there. It's a little bit bigger. And we want this one. There it is. Now hopefully we get what we want. We do, except I haven't put those two images in, which is probably fair enough. So I need to go and find those images. I've been through this before, so we'll go down here and into our where we were before, and we'll check, and hopefully there's an image in here somewhere that I want. Gosh, Facebook, Twitter, button, Twitter, Facebook. Well, they're somewhere, but they're not in there. Maybe they're in this one. They're not. Oh, wait on. Maybe it's that one. Yes. No. This one maybe. Let's have a look. I don't want to spend too much time looking for it. They're in here somewhere. Oh, that looks like it. That one. And that one, which we're going to put in there. So that's in fact the two images that are in the notes. Alright, now let's see what we've got. Here we go, and there we go. Opens up the news. Good, in a fresh page, and Taiwan. So you can put as many links to news sites, you can do what you like there, and you would have noticed that the image drop shadow thing works as well, same as these ones. Okay, I mentioned earlier that we were going to do something with the gallery script, and this is a good place to introduce the use of variables, and just to show you how they work. Now the important thing here, and you'll see why, this is the old gallery HTML file. The bit we're going to look at is this bit here, which is 6 pictures. Now they're named a certain way, and they're named this way in a numerical order for a reason. And the reason for that is this. There's a lot less code, but it's going to achieve exactly the same outcome. If you remember, the gallery that we set up had included the header, included the footer, and then the only other part it had was this bit here. Well, that bit there has now been turned into that, and we use a loop. Now if you use Scratch and went and did some of the other Scratch stuff and even some of the Canvas stuff, hopefully this loop thing won't be too hard to get your head around. The way it works, the good thing is that one of the things you don't have to do in PHP is you don't have to sort of declare variables before you start, so you just start the loop off. Now what we want this thing to do is a loop. And the way we set the loop up is that bit there in brackets. So where do we want to start, how far do we want to go, and by how much do we want to change the value of I. So we want to start at 1. When we get to 7 we're going to stop, and we want to go up 1 at a time. What do we want to do? We want to display the image, okay, and it's exactly the same. If we go back over here, see, image class pic source images pet1, etc. Over here, images class pic source images pet, and then I, and then the rest of it's done like this. Now what's important to show you here in PHP is that if you have HTML, so back over here, this is all HTML, there's no PHP, and even in the gallery one the includes were HTML, were PHP, but the rest was HTML. Over here the whole file is PHP, and the way that you use the HTML statements in PHP is you use the echo, so the whole thing has the tag at the top and the bottom, and the entire program is written in PHP. So just have a little bit of a look at this. You want to cut back over and have a look at the other, how those 6 came out. Now what it'll do is it will display image pet 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and stop. So that's how that works. So we need to well, just save this, copy this into whatever gallery PHP you've already got. You'll have one there somewhere. Just paste this in place of this bit and then upload it to the just this bit here, and upload it using your FTP, and we'll get a result. So let's go over here. There's the notes in case you're wondering, and we will have a look at what's going on. All right. Here is the source code that we're using, and it's called gallery 1, but you might just need to call it gallery. You just got to check your header file, make sure they match. It's calling up the right thing, and then put that. You can save it as gallery if you want, and then upload it like that, and then rerun your page. See how it looks. I mean, it'll look exactly the same pretty much, but there's a bit less code, so that's what you'll get. So one of the things that websites like to include are contact forms, where you want to contact the website about something, and they'll respond, hopefully, or they won't. So we're going to get rid of the links file and replace it with a contacts file. You can keep both if you want and set up a bunch of links, but I'm just going to use what's already here and just replace it. So here's the header file the way it is at the moment, and I'm going to recreate a file called contact and change the header to contact, and I've just used the links file that's already there and pretty much leave it like that from there, because this bit's going to go any second, so I'll just save it as contact. Okay. Alright, so there it is. Now, that's the notes, and that's what we've done. Okay, now the next thing we need to do is we're going to use a tag called form, which is, as the name suggests, a form that you fill out, and we're going to put that in here. And we need to do a couple of other things as well to do this. So where we will start is down here in our style library. We need to just add some form information. This is it here. So these are the extra styles that you add to the style library. Let me take it down a little bit. I mean, if you don't do this, it just defaults to certain look about it, but if you have these in there, then you can tweak your forms and make them a bit more, they look a bit better. You can do things with them. Okay, now a lot of this stuff, but when you start getting to about this level, when you're writing PHP, even though we're writing just about every line of code, a lot of what's coming up, I mean, I just found it and tweaked it. I didn't sort of start from scratch. So you might find better formatted form style somewhere that you want to put in your style library. That's fine. This stuff, I sort of found it and then I tweaked it a little bit to make it look like that. So that's what the style library looks like, which we'll save. Our header's pretty right, and our contact needs a lot of extra stuff put in it. So we've got our style library worked out. Next thing we need to do is we're going to include a second file, and we're going to call it whatever you like, but I call it snaps. And I picked up the bare bones of this somewhere else, but I tweaked it myself as well and did a fair bit of the math. Now, what's a snap? Well, the snaps file is something that looks like that, and what it is you know, when you get onto websites that they might have a thing called CAPTCHA or something like that, so they don't want just people spamming the site, so they make you put something in like letters or numbers or make a sum. Well, this is what this thing does, but instead of using someone else's, you just write your own, and this is what it looks like. So don't be too turned off by it. You've got a variable called snaps, and you fill it full of a random bunch of characters, any random characters you like. Then you go and get a time, right? And what the time, computer time is, so it picks it up off the computer, and what it does is it creates a random number, and that random number picks up values out of here at random. What we're getting is we're getting 4 values out of here, so I, J, K and L. Don't worry about getting your head around this stuff yet, although it comes in handy later. So, and there's probably better ways to do it, but this is the way I worked it out. So I've created a variable called rest, and that rest is the one that's going to be compared to what people type in the form, and if it matches, keep going. If it doesn't, they haven't put in the correct 4 characters, and this is just how you create it. So you don't see anything, it just does it. Okay, so that's the code for it, for snaps. And we'll put it back up here where we're working. So that we've got it. Alright, so that's our snaps. Now the last but not least, of course, is the contact form, which at the moment looks like this and needs to look like that. Alright, so there's your top bit, which we've already got, and we've got our footer, and what we now need to do is we need to add this stuff here. So take it up a bit. These are comments here, just to let you know what's going on. So have a look at this, have a look at these. Alright, you'll notice these class statements starting to pick up. That's the formatting stuff that's going on there. Alright, now what happens is that because you use a form tag with a method post, and it says, well, what happens? Well, it goes and gets another file called contacted, which we'll write in the next video, and it does all this down to here. And when this comes up on your screen, people put information in, and down here, just a little bit of PHP in the middle of all this HTML, is the value that was generated by snaps. So snaps in the box, and then you put in a value called spam. Alright, and then you submit this. Okay, that's a bit tricky to show you how it works, but provided you type all this stuff in correctly and load it up and you can run it, you'll just get an error because it'll say I can't find contacted. That's alright, you can wait till you've got it all written if you like, but that's what you need. So you need contact, which I'll save over here where I'm working. It's going to say, oh, it's going to get upset actually because this one's open, so I can cut and paste everything across maybe. Alright, I'll do that. I'll take all this over, I'll put it over here, replace this. There we go. Just get our divs in the right spot so we know which div belongs to which. So that's the div for that one, and this is the form div there, like that. Alright, and we save it and we upload it, and away we go. So if all the uploads worked out properly, then you'll have uploaded everything in there. Your extra few bits, your header, change your style, change snaps is up there, and contact is up there. So they're your more recent ones, and if everything worked according to plan, you've got home working fine, gallery going well, news going well, and contact coming up with, oh, an error. Now we haven't had this happen, but it's going to happen, trust me, it's going to happen quite a lot, and getting your head around this can be rather interesting. So what it's trying to tell you is something's wrong on the third line of this file. So let's go over here and have a look and see if we can figure out what's going on. Now what's going on is this: you get away with statements like that without the semicolon, which is what separates PHP statements, because it's the last one. Up here you don't, you need them. In other PHP, if you look around, that other one with the gallery, same problem. We got away with it because we only had the one. Now we've got two, and it got upset. So what it really wants is that. You don't need one here, but I'll put it in anyway. You don't need one down here either, but I'll put it in. You need a semicolon. Now let's save that, and we'll see if this fixed it. Hopefully it did. Let's find out. Go back, home, contact. Yay, it worked. So little things that can bring things to a halt. I don't know what yours looks like, but this is what the contact form looks like. And so you put in some information, Fred Flintstone, etc, etc, Bedrock, email. Now you could say, huh, but the thing is that you want a valid email to go in. It doesn't have to be a real one, but it has to look like an email, because it's going to check. So I don't know, something like that. Date of birth. You can get clever here too with drop down boxes. So, you know, 1 to 31. The month could be a 3-digit like this, and then, you know, 1000, and then this bit that matters, typing the correct one in, so EPW6, and then you submit, and it says request blah blah, didn't get it, it's not found. And that's probably right, because we haven't actually wrote contacted yet, but we are now. Okay, so let's go back here, just let that sit there for the moment, and we'll go back over here and start working on our contacted. Alright, now I have got the contacted, and it's fairly involved, and it's also in the notes. So what I suggest you do is you walk your way nice and slowly through it, but first things first. Let's blow it up a little bit. Okay, PHP contacted, and now the comment. Now this comment is a PHP contact, and this is an entire PHP file. So if you go back and have a look at contact, you'll notice that it's an HTML file with bits of PHP embedded in it and different styles of commenting. Commenting is vital, by the way, otherwise you don't know what's going on. So this one is all PHP. Now all this here is what was sent over here. So if you go through and look at all the names here, you'll discover that they match. These names match at the top here, so they're sent to the server. This is the format, this is the way it's done. There are other ways, but this is the way I do it. So everything that was sent in that form, including REST, which was a hidden one, and the spam, which is what you typed in, is that. Now we declare a variable called this. This is the flag set to OK. We then declare a variable called message. Okay, MSG, message, and then we go through a whole lot of if statements. If. Alright, you've got to be really super careful here about making sure that we've got this happening. And if the string length name is less than 2, then the message says please enter your name and a break, so a new line. Flag not OK, so it sets the flag to not OK. So it does each one, and this is the one I said about the email. So it actually looks for a valid email, not just a bunch of letters and numbers. Day, there's your day one, please enter a valid day. Month, there's your month. Year, presumably that's OK. This will have to go up by 1 year maybe, although you'd be very young if your birthday was 2016. And last but not least, the spam filter. So all this stuff's done first, okay, and then we get into the actual compact, what it's going to look like when you run it. So there's your header, there's your footer, and here's your middle bit. Okay, looks like that. It's going to look a little bit different. I left the main stuff out and all that, so it may look slightly different. That's alright, you can fix that up later. So if the flag is okay, and that there is not, okay, greater than, less than is actually not. So if the flag's not okay, do that. Elsewhere, thank you, and then it sticks your name and where you are for contacting this website, and that's if it's okay. And then your div, your form div, alright, which is the div you used before. Alright, and that's what you get. So if you sit down and quietly type all that in bit by bit and save it where it needs to be saved, so I shall put it up in our usual spot up here, and provided I haven't done something that I've missed, that should work, and we'll have a look and see if it's working or not. So why not check it out straight away and see if we've got a result. First thing first, there's contacted. Let's put it across and see if it actually works or not. Okay. Alright, so your contact form presumably is working, and so you send all the information's correct, you submit it, and that comes back. Of course, the person that's actually doing this knows it's happened, but you don't know it's happened because you need to be contacted. So there's one other bit you need to add to contacted, and that is to send an email to you as the owner of the website. There's a few ways you can do that. So I've opted for this one, which works. So all this stuff up here, that's contacted. You'd have all that, and you'll have this at the bottom. And the bit you need to add is this bit here, or something very similar. Now let's just have a look. These are reserved messages that need to be included at the top, so just accept those three there. Then we've got a variable called my email, and it says put your email address here, and that's what you need to do. So that's where you put your email address, whatever it happens to be. It then goes and gets the date, it gives it a subject, and then it records a message, and it uses carriage returns. That's what these /n's mean. So today is name, your name, email, your email. That's the user, I should say. User's email, who they are. So the information that's been sent from the contact form can also be put into the email. The IP address and so forth. All this stuff gets put in. So the message is all of that. That's the message. So when the email turns up, it's going to have a subject, who it's from, and email. Now, the last part, there's your from, whoever it's from, and the last part is the actual sending of the email. So that's the message that sends the email. That's how it works. So this is saying if the email is not empty, so if this my email is not empty, I'll mail the email. Now if you leave it like that, heaven knows what's going to happen, but it won't work. So you need to put your email in there, whatever it is, and then put this in, and it'll be in business. Now I'm not going to stick my email address in there to see if your stuff works or not. You'll have to do that.
Thank you, too.